I'll be talking basically on child abuse. We live in a society whereby child abuse is seen as a normal part of life, whereby children are being abused in different forms and manners, both by their parents and their caregivers, even both in school sef. But we should narrow it down to the definition of child abuse, the signs and symptoms of child abuse, and the risk factors concerning child abuse. Now, what is child abuse? I said child abuse is the wrongful treatment of a child. It may be in the form of physical, emotional, or sexual abuse. This form of abuse may also be recognized as the exploitation of a child, as well as failure to properly care for a child, otherwise known as neglect. Child abuse includes any act of failure of a parent or a caregiver that results in actual or potential wrongful harm to a child and can occur in a child's home, in school, in the community whereby the child interacts with. Any intentional harm or mistreatment to a child that is under the age of 18 is called child abuse. And this child abuse takes different forms, which often occurs at the same time. Now we'll be looking at the physical abuse. Physical child abuse is purposely physical injured or injured or put at risk of a child by another person. Physical abuse signs and symptoms. Injuries that aren't compatible with the child's developmental ability. Unexplained injuries such as bruises, broken bones, which is fractures, or burns. We go down to sexual abuse. Child sexual abuse is any sexual activities with a child. This can involve sexual contact such as intentional sexual touching of oral genital contact or intercourse. This can also involve non-contact sexual abuse of a child such as exposing a child to sexual activity or pornography. A child is sexually abused in a manner of exposing the child's body to filming or videoing, including self trafficking, sex trafficking, and prostitution. Sexual abuse signs and symptoms. That's where we see early pregnancy, especially for the young girls, then sexual transmitted infections, genital or anal pain, bleeding or injury, inappropriate sexual abuse or behavior with other children. Now, emotional abuse. Emotional abuse means injuring a child's self esteem or emotional well being. It includes verbal and emotional assault, such as continually belittling or berating a child, as well as isolating, ignoring, or rejecting a child's emotions. Emotional signs and symptoms. We can see where loss of self-esteem and self-confidence coming, decrease in school performance or lost interest in school, social withdrawal or loss of interest or enthusiasm, and depression. Now, looking on to neglect. Child neglect is failure of a parent or a caregiver to provide adequate food, clothing, shelter, clean living environment, affection, supervision, education, dental or medical care towards a child. Now, the signs and symptoms of neglect is one, poor growth. poor record of school attendance, and poor personal cleanliness or hygiene. Now we go down to parental behavior. Sometimes a parent behavior sends red flag about child abuse. Warning signs include parent who blames the child for the problems they are going through or facing. They show little concern for their children, using their work as an excuse, using harsh discipline on their child, severely limiting the child to